The Office of the Inspector General had investigated Oreste Ernie-Boy Abbamonte, a member of the Gambino family from Harlem, who was first convicted in 1969 for drug charges, as well as 1973 for allegedly plotting to kill a witness. While in Lewisburg prison in 1986, he was indicted for heroin distribution, which involved fellow Gambino member Mickey Boy Paradiso, who became his co-defendant. Apparently, he was using the prison phones to traffic the heroin. He also had a conviction for continuing criminal enterprise charges. As a result, the U.S. Attorney's Office from the Southern District of New York wrote a letter to the director of the Bureau of Prisons, explaining that Abbamonte used the prison phones and visits from certain people to continue committing crimes. The director of the prisons responded by saying that a newly implemented phone system was being used throughout the prison system and should prevent this from happening in the future. On January 15, 1987, Abbamonte received a life sentence for those charges, at which time the U.S. Attorney's Office urged the Bureau of Prisons to limit his phone privileges. He was also convicted in 1993 for the heroin distribution case, where he allegedly threatened the arresting DEA agent. At the time, he still remained on parole from the 1973 case and was sentenced to 13 years, which gets a little confusing because he received a life sentence in 1987. While he was being held at Leavenworth, the Inspector General's office checked his file and found no indication of limited phone restrictions. So again, while in Leavenworth, Abbamonte conspired to purchase 10 keys of cocaine using the prison phones, which he pled guilty to and received an additional 180 months. In February 1994, he was transferred to USP Allenwood, and the Inspector General's office checked his file again. His phone privileges were still not limited in any way, despite the repeated request. He also had 28 people on his approved visitors list where no special investigation was conducted on the backgrounds of any of these people. Over and above that, his calls were not on the telephone monitoring list, and his job as a prison orderly gave him unlimited access to the telephone. He also was never charged with any violations of the BOP regulations as a result of using prison phones to conduct these drug deals. Law enforcement told the Inspector General's office that while at Allenwood, Abbamonte continued to use the prison phones to conduct criminal activities. What's surprising is, after getting indicted the first time because of using the prison phones, you would think that he would never talk about anything criminal on a prison phone again. My guess as to why his phone privileges were never restricted is because of the FBI. They must have instructed the Bureau of Prisons not to do that, as they wanted Ernie-Boy on the phone because he was handing them cases and making their job easy. He has since been released in May 2019 and no longer needs to use the prison phones.